ray of light and realized that the worst was over.
These are just some of the thrills you can experience here at the Dead Man Inn.
What happened to Bonetown in the last few years? I remember when I used to come here that it was a nice little town.
I think it's just progress. The young prefer to go try their luck elsewhere, apart from a few exceptions. It's just down to us from the older generation to keep up the honor of Bonetown by welcoming the incoming tourists with love and professionalism.
I'd have to dispute that, actually. Is the public library still there?
Sure, boy. It's one of the crown jewels of Bonetown. At least it is according to what Margaret, our librarian, tells us. I'm simply reporting what's said because I personally never go to such places.
Strange. I would have bet the opposite. Could you tell me where it is?
Turn left at the main square, just outside the door. Boy, if you don't want to get lost, use this. It's an old Bonetown postcard, but it was used as a tourist map during the golden years. It could be of use to orient yourself and move around Bonetown.
Thank you.
Are you interested in something in particular?
Just to reminisce a little bit. My father used to take me there all the time. Thanks, and goodbye. Better leave the key here. I don't know if I'll want to avail myself of this service again tonight. There you go. Now I can leave. The innkeeper said the library is on the left, starting from the square. I better solve the clue left by my father first. From here, you go to another area. It's the road I came from. I don't want to go back. I don't need it. It looks new. I don't want to take anything from here. It's still material in the public domain. At first glance, there seem to be different tomes, some of which have considerable value too. I wonder why they're out here. Wow, there are some extremely rare first editions here. Better not. It's like seeing my house. Even if I picked everything up, then it would suffer the same fate in our closet at home. It's one of those old message boards on which they hung the wanted posters. Here in Bonetown, time seems to have stopped. There are still posters of the gang that was raging here decades ago. The members have become famous. I recognize the posters of Rufy, Nami, and Zoro. The others are faded from exposure to bad weather. There's also a little footnote. Posters offered by the Lafitte Amusement Park. I don't need them. I don't think I need this kind of souvenir. It's the public library of Bonetown. I never imagined it would have survived, given the state of the town. A well-stocked library, but it would be a lot of work to put it in order. I have no time to fix other people's things, too. If in the future I have to conduct some new research, there are some tomes here that you can't easily find in other libraries. I'm not doing any research in particular right now. For such a small town, there are a lot of books. It's not my priority right now. I think it's the person running the library. Good morning.
Good morning. How can I help you?
What happened to Bonetown in the last few years?
The city has always held more allure, at the expense of the small villages, and Bonetown is no exception. All the young people left when they had the chance, leaving the town in its current sorry state. It seems you know our town well, although you're so young. Can I ask your name?
Of course. I'm Willy Morgan.
I'm Margaret Teach. But for those who attend the library, I'm just Margaret. Once there was a Morgan here in Bonetown, too. Then he left, seeking fortune, and he became famous. But he never stopped coming back to visit Bonetown. I don't think you know him.
You mean Henry Morgan, by any chance?
You surprise me, and that doesn't happen often.
The point is, I know him very well. Henry was my father.
I'm sorry, kid, I didn't know.
Don't worry, it's been a while.
10 years ago, right?
How do you know that?
Kid, I'm the librarian. I basically remember everything that is put on paper, and Henry used to come to our library a lot.
Do you know anything about his disappearance?
Unfortunately, only what I've read about. One night he was here in Bonetown. The morning after, it's like he vanished into thin air. Not a clue, not a trace. No letters or anything that could have guided the search parties to a solution.
Do you know what he was working on in his final research?
I don't know. He always read a lot, basically all the tomes you can find in here, and sometimes at his request I had to order books from other cities as well.
Do you know if he had enemies, maybe?
Henry? Let's be serious. I think there were very few men as affable as him.
Thanks for the information.
Don't mention it. If I can be of any more help, just ask.
I need to consult one of your tomes.
It's always a pleasure when someone wants to benefit from the services offered by our library. What are you looking for?
Not Very Famous Pirate Songs by Threepwood.
Unfortunately, that's one of the most requested books. There's even a waiting list to consult it.
Grog and Other Delights.
It hasn't been available since 1998, when grog was declared a substance harmful to health, and the book was never reprinted again.
Grog, are you kidding?
It was a short-lived law, abolished immediately afterward to avoid a mass uprising.
Luckily.
Don't get me started. A cup of grog in the morning is like a panacea. But in case it happens again in the future, I've put aside a personal supply.
Properties of Concrete.
Oh, what a surprise! It's not among the more popular in Bonetown. I guess this is the second consultation in more than 10 years.
Doesn't it get the attention it deserves?
Here in Bonetown, people don't read a lot, especially a book like that. I could never have managed to face it either.
Where can I find it?
I guess it's somewhere on the upper floor. You should recognize it easily.
Thank you. I need to consult one of your tomes.
It's always a pleasure when someone wants to... What are you looking...
I don't recall the exact title.
I'm sorry, but without the title, I can't help you.
How come all across Bonetown the gutters seem to be new?
They are new. There's been some geological instability in the last few years. We don't know yet if it's due to natural causes or human activity. In any case, the result is that Bonetown no longer has a working water network. And the only way to retrieve some water at a decent cost seems to be this one.
Whose idea was this?
Maybe the only person who really cares about the state of Bonetown, our mayor, Steve Bonnet.
What can you tell me about Steve Bonnet?
He's the only one here doing something to keep Bonetown alive. Without him, our village would be much worse off. I suggest you go visit him. He knows everything about Bonetown. If you need something specific, he'll be able to help you for sure. These days, he lives in the town hall to deal with all the city's problems. But he's always available to everyone.
Thank you. I'll visit him as soon as possible. Can you repeat what you know about my father?
Henry had a natural gift with people, achieved success, loved reading, and he didn't have any enemies. At least here in Bonetown. Besides the fact that he disappeared 10 years ago, I wouldn't know what else to say.
Thanks, and goodbye.
Thank you for visiting the Bonetown Library. If you need a specific book, you can ask me, Ms. Teach, or just Margaret.
Thanks, I'll keep that in mind. This lock is peculiar to say the least. I'm pretty sure that I'd need a special key if I wanted to open it. It seems to be a very old crate. It's stuck under the huge number of books on the desk. I must find a way to free it. It's the famous book, Properties of Concrete, the last book read by my father. How? Should I remove everything on top of it? There's no time. And above all, I wouldn't know where to put all these books. On this desk, there are books of every kind, from how to build a cuckoo clock to anchovy fishing for newbies. It wouldn't be nice if I took the only street sign for the local museum. I have a strong feeling that if I did it, I'd put the entire town economy in danger. And Bonetown doesn't seem like it's experiencing its golden age. I understand that copper has become precious, but I don't think it'd go unnoticed. It looks like it was installed recently. It says to follow the arrow to access the museum. I didn't know that Bonetown had a museum too, especially a museum in this obscure alley. They're barrels filled with water. I don't think that dragging this barrel of over 100 liters would benefit me a lot. If I had to guess, there are more than 100 chicken dishes. I may be wrong, but I think the owner specializes in cooking chicken every possible way. Menu of the day: chicken, or chicken and salad, or chicken, salad, and cheese. While for drinks, there's only grog. I don't need it. I don't see how the complete menu of the One-Eyed Jack would help me. One-Eyed Jack Restaurant. The name is catchy, the sign much less so. I don't know what's worse, the chicken wings used as bones at the sides of the skull, or the general state of the sign. Everything here is going to the dogs. I wonder what happened to the city. It wasn't always like this. It's like an ancient artifact, in poor condition. Touching it would surely mean damaging it, even though time has already done its part. I don't think there are any books here. Even if it's battered, I think I can make out the word restaurant. It's not time to enter there yet. I need to use the clue left by my dad first. It's the entrance to one of the typical restaurants of Bonetown. Maybe let's say the most rustic. It seems to be the entrance to a dark alley. It's the sign for a museum. I don't know what interesting stuff there is to see. It's not specified on the sign. I can't see the opening time either. Dark alley, ambiguous sign, no opening time for the public, and an old open door. I like it. I can't see what's inside. I better get in. There's a sign with the word museum, which rules out the possibility that it's a library. I'll go back there later. Now I have to find a way to obtain the volume Properties of Concrete from the library. It's one of the most modern objects I've seen in Bonetown so far. I don't know how, but I hope it might come in handy. It seems like the propeller of an old vessel. There's also some writing. Flying Dutchman. I don't think it's that Flying Dutchman. At first glance, it appears to weigh over 100 kilos. Surely working out in the gym made me stronger, but I don't think it performed any miracles. I I don't think I should use it on the book. Let's try. It worked! Check out what we have here. Let's see what it is. It's another letter from my father. It's dated July 22nd, 2008, earlier than the other one. There's also a piece of paper that seems more ancient, but I can't figure out what it is. Better take a look right now. If Dad did all this so that I'd find it, there must be something important. Now I understand what the piece of paper was that I found with the letter. Dad always performed great feats, but I never imagined he was looking for kids' treasure. It has always been said that it was basically a legend. I don't remember the complete story exactly, but maybe the librarian can help me. And I have a list of names. Better start asking information of the townsfolk, without attracting too much attention. I don't need my father's old library card anymore. Even if someone found it, it would be useless. I have the letter and the piece of map belonging to my dad. It doesn't work. A peculiar key is needed, or something that could force this lock. Am I wrong, or did you tell me your name is Margaret Teach?
That's correct.
Do you know a man named Charles Teach?
Your question surprises me. How do you know my great-great-grandfather?
I'm doing some research on the genealogy of Bonetown, and I stumbled upon the Teach family.
Yes, it's been several generations now since the Teaches settled in Bonetown.
What can you tell me about Charles Teach in particular?
He was the one who brought the name Teach here to Bonetown, but of his past, little is known. My great-grandma told me that he was a former fisherman with a knack for books. This library is a donation he made to the city of Bonetown just before he died. After he arrived here in Bonetown, he devoted himself exclusively to reading, and many of these books were bought directly by him.
He had so many of them that he basically founded the town library, which then became the family business for the following generations, too.
And he didn't leave anything else apart from the books?
All he left is stored on the upper floor, but it's mostly junk. The real treasure was his books. There's also an old crate without a key, but it looks empty.
What can you tell me about Steve Bonnet?
He's the only one here doing something to keep Bonetown alive. Without him, our village would be much worse off. I suggest you go visit him. He knows everything about Bonetown. If you need something specific, he'll be able to help you for sure. These days, he lives in the town hall to deal with all the city's problems, but he's always available to everyone.
Thank you. I'll visit him as soon as possible. Do you by any chance know the story of Captain William Kidd?
Sure, it is mostly a legend.
In the golden era of piracy, Kidd stood out for his endeavors, if you could call them that.
The endeavors of a pirate aren't exactly heroic most of the time.
Anyway, his ship, the Adventure Galley, was supposedly filled with treasures when it suddenly disappeared. A few years later, in 1701, Kidd was captured and executed, but his ship and the crew were never found.
What do you think happened?
What always happened at that time? Kidd and his crew squandered all the loot, and to cover their tracks, they sold or even burned the ship.
After this story, Kidd became legendary.
Thank you. What's that old crate upstairs?
It belonged to Charles Teach, a great-great-grandfather of mine. Many years ago, we opened it with the help of a locksmith, but it was empty. Then the key got lost again, and nobody has any interest in it anymore. Maybe the locksmith has a copy of it somewhere. I never feel like throwing it away. It's still a family heirloom after all.
Thanks, and goodbye.
Thank you for visiting the Bonetown Library. If you need a specific book, you can ask.
Thanks, I'll keep that in mind. Very strange. I have the feeling I'm being watched. Better be careful. You never know what can happen in Bonetown.